Ginger Tuck, and we are doing a kindergarten, first grade teacher talk to learn more about technology and what to do in our centers in the classroom. And I'll let everybody introduce themselves. Ginger Tuck.
Kimberly Hollis.
Christy Brannick.
Andrea Lynn.
Gail Can.
Okay, we're just going to kind of open up to some questions of how we run our classroom and what are some things we do with the technology and how it works or how it does not work in our classroom. So, and that's just kind of how we're going to go with it. And one of the questions was how what do we do with children if there are a problem or they're doing something they're not supposed to do on the technology while we're trying to run the classroom. And there's a lot of things, and we can discuss this. One, I know somebody asked, what do you do if they pull up something like a nude picture or they type in the word body and they come up with something that's kind of funny. And there's several things I've done in the past, and because it's going to happen. I mean, even if they don't type in something bad, something's still going to come up, maybe about reproduction or something. So I really just kind of say, if that's something you want to learn about, it's great, but you need to ask your parents. It's not something I'm supposed to teach, but I'm going to write your parents a note and say that you were wanting to look at this, and they're going to teach it to you. So I'm going to write your parents a note. I want you to have it signed. So that puts that back onto the parent, and they can discuss what they looked at and what they saw, and why they chose to write that or do that. So and that kind of stops it really fast because parents kind of have to step in with that too. Then there was one I think on lambs that I think it was during Easter time when we were doing animals, and sometimes my kids come up with their own animals that they want to find, and they looked up lamb, and I think they were doing slaughter of lambs, which was a little bit too much for kindergarten. So again, we just have to talk about how it is part of our food, and it's just another way to have a lesson to teach. So, but I don't know if any of y'all had any experiences with that, or how would you handle that, or.
I had one that we had brought up before at another meeting, was that we were doing research, and it was a little boy figured we were supposed to be doing baby animals in the ocean, and he put in boy and found the body of a boy and then started going around and showing it. So what I did was then he had to work with partners. He couldn't have his own. I was just going to ask, have you had any issues with them breaking them, like tearing up, anything like that? Like how do y'all handle, like just handling them and that sort of thing? Because we had one, I know Gail was in there, or I talked to Gail about it last year, about the little boy who, he got mad over what he was researching, and he wanted to change his animal, and I said, well, we had already chosen an animal, somebody else was doing that, and he got the iPad and just threw it down because he was mad. What?
I think he should lose that. That's out of anger, and so I guess he could, after maybe he can prove that he can handle his anger, he can have it back. But we've had some that are just, kindergarten, a lot of times they're just not coordinated enough to walk around and carry them, and they're going to drop them. So we really work with, holding them with both hands and walking like this when they're walking, but that's a whole different issue with when it comes to being angry and just throwing it or disrespecting it, and, that's also a office or parent.
But have y'all had any damage to where, do you go, like, because I've made that, I said, if you break it, your mommy and daddy do not want to have to pay for another one. Would that happen, or would we take care, like, how would that?
Michelle, do you know? Because we've had that happen. We've had kids break them before.
Right. The STC, this is all the things the STC does. And they do break. And now with the iPads, I don't know if it's the same as when they get a MacBook. A MacBook, they have a deposit, they have to pay for insurance, da-da-da. I know in Miss Lauber's class, there was one that broke, but your STC handles all of that. You really don't need to worry about that. The STC department completely does that for you.
Because, we were worried when we got 12 without any otter boxes.
Oh, yes, those are.
And I'm thinking, I felt responsible for this technology, so.
And it's going to happen, and we may drop it, so it's going to happen, but I don't think that's something we should have to, and that, again, I guess can go to the office to know if they do it on purpose, then, that's something they can take up with the office. We've had some stolen. We've had the kids take them home. So.
Oh.
Do y'all have
they
cases
walk
on
out
yours?
in their backpacks?
They're probably just like, we had the black cases on the new ones that came in, those really slick cases.
We don't have
any cases.
Oh, no, they were
Ours
just
have
like
a little case they can slide their hand in the back of
That's
it.
the one, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a little black background. It's,
Yeah.
yeah, that was it. It's not. I
On
don't
your
think
new
it was-
ones that you just got? Ours are just
No,
the,
ours are just
the
the
thin little
silver, yeah.
silver.
So you mean you had some going home in backpacks?
Another teacher, another kindergarten teacher had
Oh.
one go home, and the only way they found it is, I think a mother might have brought it back, or the
Oh.
child might have said something about having it at home, and then they went to the, I mean, they had to,
Had to go get.
I think it's happened several times, so it's not,
Interesting.
it's again, how can you be so, it's gonna be hard, because there's 12 of them or
Yes.
more.
Yeah, the 12. Well, that's interesting.
Do you at all times, like when you have 12, and say last year we had 25 students, so we have 12, do you put 2 students on each iPad and that's their iPad for the year, or do they go up and get random? I know Christy had said in her room she took a picture of the child and that was the wallpaper and that was their iPad.
Oh, that's
and
a
I had
great
not thought
idea.
about that. How do y'all handle that?
I did it 2 ways, because everybody had their own picture, and that was theirs, but I also, sometimes I just used them in centers, so if this center only had 2, this one
Right.
has 2, so it was theirs, but it's also our classrooms, because if they did a poplet, I wanted them to be on theirs, because it was something they could look back, and it was like research, that here is a poplet on trucks, this is what I learned about trucks, this is a poplet on.
And it's like their
web.
portfolio.
It's a portfolio for
So
them.
they need to keep it.
So it needs to, they really need one, if not, and they may do an iMovie, or they may do a, a self-portrait on one, and it's still kind of like, it's a good thing to show parents, it's a good thing to show, and if you just have them random, they're gonna be everybody on
If
it.
you have them like that, you can use it as a great tool in conferences,
Yes.
or like at parent, like at open house when we have the meeting with them, meet with them.
Are we gonna get more, so it would be 1-to-1? I know at the
I
end of the
don't think
year,
so.
we were told that they were gonna fill in. Do y'all have a class set or 12?
We had a class set, but it was because we had some from Title I money and some, but
Right.
I think this year, I don't think we're gonna have a whole, are we, do you know? We're gonna-
Don't know.
I think we only had 12, once they took those away, we only had 12. But what I did, like you were asking about Rosetta Stone, I had a 10 to 20 minute period every day that they did it, and I teamed them up, and if we were both working on Rosetta Stone, it's in my name, and I'm saying everything this time, but you're also listening. And then they swapped over and they did it, so they both did it, and that way, I don't have 12
That's
doing
a
one
great
thing and 12
idea.
doing another,
We're
they're
trying
all
to
learning.
keep track of
Yes.
who's been there and who hasn't.
Yes, and that way, if you don't get, if something happens, because it was the time of the day that all the things happened, and you were
Yes.
never in the classroom at the same time, the next time that other person did it, we both didn't get it that day.
And they'll be good to remember.
But-
It's
and
kind
they-
of like math buddies.
But they're getting it because they're sitting there listening, and they're helping them. If they're having a hard time, they're still getting to practice it. So that helped me the most, because I was trying to teach a lesson and everybody was messing up, so they needed me to help them, and I couldn't because I was
So
over
then
here.
you didn't use the earbuds?
No, we didn't
when
have
you
them.
did that.
No, they have their own iPad. I put them all over the room. I put some up, some down. I mean, they were in every corner. But it helps when they're paired up, because you don't have so many, you can't keep them at the table because it's too loud and it won't work. But if you can put them in each section of your room,
Stage of the room.
it helps so much. And you can walk around and make sure that they're doing the right stages and they're on the right, part. If something's wrong, if they're getting 0 every time, you can fix all this.
Right, because I have a problem of, they'll be at level 33.
Yes.
Well, I'm thinking, go back until you get green.
All green, yes, and that's what, you can do that when you have them all working together instead of trying to teach a class and and that's the one thing you're gonna I had to do. I always thought I need to be this teacher that I'm teaching in the old tradition, and I had to give that up and walk around and really help them on the technology, and it worked so well. Once I was there, they needed me less, but if they needed just one little thing, they were not stuck in a place they couldn't get over. I could help them so much, and it's
So during Rosetta Stone, you were a facilitator?
yes, the whole time. The whole time I walked around, I would listen, I would praise them, I would look how good you're doing. It was my time just to be that cheerleader for them. So
But I thought you said you were teaching a lesson.
I did to start with. 12 were
And then
on
you
that.
left.
12 were on. I quit doing that because it was just too hard. I was getting up the whole time, or somebody was sitting here on Rosetta Stone and couldn't go any further, and they didn't know
Okay.
what to do, because you have to mash something. Some of them, do you want to do this again, or do you want, And so they were stuck until I could finish, or I could give them my time. Now, all 20 students are holding an iPad, whether it's just I'm doing it and you're looking what I'm doing, And then I give it to her after I finish my 10 minutes, and we just swap it out. So that just works, so you can help.
Any ideas about how to pair them up? I mean, did you just do it randomly at the beginning, or you waited to see ability levels, or?
Oh, I probably didn't pair them up till after Christmas because I was learning. And so
Oh.
but this year they will
That's
be
good.
paired up at the beginning, and we won't know if they get along well or, level wise and things, but, they might have to change, but that could happen.
That's good to know, because
Yeah.
like I said, we didn't even get everything going till like after Christmas, and I felt guilty every day that we weren't doing, but we decided we don't have necessarily the training, we didn't have our logins. We
Now,
had a
first
lot of
grade,
problems.
Some of the first grade teachers put it in as a center. So Rosetta Stone is a center. And so you can definitely do that. Like I said, it's just one of those things I like to put my hand on. If I change and I'm not going to pull them back every day, then I might try to do that where I can still walk around and facilitate more than, having to sit at a table and work with students and not help. And that's just going to happen because we're going to have to help them or be there to help them.
So are you considering this to be part of your language arts?
Last year I did it at the end of the day, about 20 minutes we did snack, and as soon as snack was over, we did this. So it was its own time. I'm not real sure what I'm going to do this year. I may try to put it in as a center, but I doubt I do because I have so much. There's just so many things that go along with reading, but I think I don't like it in that time.
Right, because there are so many other things to
Mhm.
focus on,
Yeah.
but I was just curious, because, we always talked about they're not necessarily fluent in the English language, and now they're trying to learn a
Right.
different language.
So I think our reading time needs to be whether we're helping them learn to write sentences or learn to, it's hard to go from this language I don't really know how to write it yet or how to do the correct things to learning Spanish or, another language.
Okay, well,
How
that's
did you
good.
do the logins? Because that's what we've always had a problem. The logins are so long, and if I sit there and log everybody in, I'm wasting a good 10-15 minutes.
I make a card at the beginning of the year. On one side is iStation, on the other side is Rosetta Stone. I give it to them. Some of them can do it with help. I mean, somebody's going to help, or sixth grade's going to help, or I'm going to help. Eventually, some of them catch on and they get it because they're just following this, and then some of them will, some of them won't. The ones that can't, they still couldn't at the end of the year, even though we were doing it every day. But the ones that could, I probably had 16 of my students that could do it on their own, go get the pad, log on in their own. They'd go, something's wrong with something's not working. And so they
you just
knew.
have to do it individually
Yeah,
anyway.
but they have it looks like a business card, and they kept it with them, and I kept one in my desk in case they lost it, and so the substitutes always knew how to help, or they knew, they knew how to do it.
Now, one of the things I did as a librarian, in my library, I make them type in their lunch number. That is their code to get into the library. One of the things that our students in the fall, kindergarten, not first grade, kindergarten, may not check out a library book until they can punch in their library number independently according to Mrs. Holt, who predominantly does that, or myself. One of the things that I am thinking about to help my teachers is you're not allowed to check out a book until, now maybe not kindergarten, but I'm wondering if I can get away with the same situation that in first grade and second grade you have to be able to log into Moodle. And when we're doing this, always give yourself credit for keyboarding. These are keyboarding skills. This is learning what Moodle is. All the initial things that we did in another department, getting used to a new program. The same thing happens with technology. You learn icons, you learn Moodle, you learn the difference between Moodle and a website, you learn URL, all of that. And this is just something that goes with this for the rest of their life. If they use a device, there's logins.
And did y'all send home with their lunch number how they do the keyboard? Because we've talked about at home it's just a piece of paper.
We
it looks
have
like a
cards
keyboard.
they just scan, kind of like here at Walmart.
Yeah,
That we scan.
it's like an
But-
ATM. kind of
Okay,
thing.
so what we do is it looks just like our keypad, and we send it home to the parents, and they have to
Oh,
practice. So I thought maybe we could make the keyboard and then practice that, and it's something we can also send home. But our iPads last year did not come with the new iPads. Did not come with a lot of apps. And so I ended up using Notebook a lot because it was on there, so I taught my kids how to write sentences on notebooks and things. And this year I was thinking, I may start out with Notebook even if we get all the apps and teach them how to type. Let's find the letter A, let's find the letter W, let's find how do you do this. And so that's just something we're probably going to have to teach. And I didn't do it last year. I just gave it to them and said, here, you know. So
Yesterday in the library's
Yeah.
meeting, they talked about the principals are wanting to take those keyboarding skills and move it to the lower grades, because by the time they get into third grade, they're going to be taking the end of the year test on a device. And so the keyboarding skills are going to come into play as to how long it takes them to answer a
Yes.
question when they're using a device of some sort. You know, so
Right.
they are talking about moving just learning basic keyboarding into lower grades.
In one of my stations, I do that. I take old from when they took all the computers, and I have just a stack of keyboards.
right.
And I can put their login on an index card, and they have to sit there and practice.
That's perfect.
And that's how we did iStation numbers at the beginning, because I was like, we have got to know. I got tired. Like, my coworkers knew, like, when I had computer and we had to go do iStation as a whole at the beginning of the year, like, that was my dreaded
Great
day.
idea.
And so, but that's always been one of my stations, and whether it's sight words, they have them on index cards, it stands up on the keyboard, and they have to sit there and type them. So just when we were talking, I thought,
Perfect.
that if they do it, it's something if you do it over and over and over, so if you put that in a center long enough on those old keyboards, they can get that. But
And so somebody can help, if sixth graders could help, or, somebody else can watch that too. It's not something you have to look over them to make sure that.
and they love it. They love to sit
Oh,
there,
yeah.
do
The
their
excitement of the
ABCs or-
device, everything that you're going to do, you will notice they have to do more, but they don't care because they want to use that device so bad. Tammy Shirley came into my room, remember I told you about that? And she said, oh, Michelle, we did that. She said, they're literally like that. Miss Shirley, when do I get to use it? The device itself is so enticing to them, you get more out of them. And if you reverse the way you're teaching to where they have to listen to whatever before they get let go, and then when they do get the device, they complete so many more objectives or skills by using that device than we ever did paper and pencil.
But do we
That's
think
been amazing.
Down the road, like right now, it's all new, and not every child has these things. But it's becoming more common, just like we were talking about phones. Like, I had the oldest phone and just now got one. I'm behind the times, but we're all getting there. And there's so many kids that have these things at home that it's not becoming a wow factor anymore. It's like, I have that at home, I play all the time, or I have it in the car and I play all the time. Are we going to see that happen to where it's not, like, they're not just all about it?
It may, but I think the things we're teaching them, like the iMovies and the Poplets, and that when they feel so empowered that they can do these things that sixth graders are doing, I think they get so excited about it. Because I'm excited. And I think it comes from us too. If we're excited about, look what you can do, it goes back to them.
Yeah.
They're kindergarten, first grade. They are excited when we're excited too. So I think that's one of those things we're going to have to really make it fun. Same as iStation, just make it a game. I know you're tired of it if you've done it every day since you've been here, but we're going to keep doing it. It's fun, and look how much you've grown. Look, did you make it go up? So, and I think that's just going to have to come from us, because it is. I mean, that's why I probably didn't teach keyboard, because most of my kids had one, or they knew how to use it, but maybe we need to just make it a fun thing.
Reading Street too had a keyboarding element in every lesson. It was mostly just identification, but that we use that for morning work a lot of times. Can you locate this letter?
That's great. I think that's wonderful. And I think I can't wait to do these new things, because the kids I think they're going to get so much more out of it this year, just because we know more things to teach them and how to grow even more. I think it's going to be a great year.
Let me ask you, since we're talking about this, what if you had this and that was what they practice, like you're talking about on the keyboard, and you know how you do your I can parties? Use notes on your iPad, and then if they can type their whole Rosetta Stone when they can type the whole thing in, then
Yeah,
they've met an I can party.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yay. That makes them excited, something they can work for. And like I said, some of them are going to get it immediately, and then some is going to take a while. But, that's just with all of them.
That'll help them be more determined to try to.
I would always,
Get it
yes.
right.
Whatever the goal is, that month is always.
Okay, do we want to talk about centers that we do? Or,
Yes.
Okay, what's the most that you've heard about that you want to do? I mean, do you want to do a QR code first? Does everybody want to make a sound bite QR code?
I would love to.
I
Okay.
think that's a good idea.
Michelle, you're gonna have to help with this.
Okay, I will.
It's really easy. It's so easy that you'll forget because it's like,
Oh,
it
yeah.
takes 2 seconds.
I'll put it on my symbol loop. And so let me just go here.
And I'm going to listen to you read, and I'm going to talk to you, and I'm going to actually be in your recording. I'm going, okay, listen how you read this sentence right here. What is this word right here? Okay, let's pronounce this word together. Cat. Okay, now you read it again and read it with fluency. So they have me teaching that so they can go back and watch it again, they can read it again, and I taught them individually more than I did in a small group. I just am not a redundant person. I'm very
I get bored.
ADHD. I'm very bored. I do not like this. I like going and touching people and really going, okay, no, you're not reading that right. Let's read, or let's work on this. You're doing great with this, and so I'm individualizing almost every day instead of pulling a small group. And so my classroom looks a lot different than a
So
lot
you
of
would have
people.
the record button on your iPad or whatever?
Yeah, okay, what I do for one center, it's called read and record, and I just call it read and record. It is the camera on the iPad, and that's it. I go to the camera on the iPad, and I make them put it on video. The kids can all do this on their own. See, I'm telling you, I don't even know how to do it. And they set it up facing them, and they'll use, I use a big box in the middle of my table, and they just prop it up against the box, and they make sure it's facing them, so it's the facing camera, so they see me. So Kimberly was reading, she actually sees herself, but then I come in and go, oh, look, Miss Tuck and Kimberly. And I said, okay, read this, and the student would read it, and I said, oh, you did a great job, but let's go back, look at this third sentence right here, let's read this one more time. And so I actually teach the lesson while we're both looking in the camera so they can go back and listen to them, read the whole thing, and then at the end, read the whole thing again and let's see if we make any mistakes. So
And then when they're done, you would send them back to their desk?
I'm
or
at their
whatever?
desk, they're not with me, I come to them, but they don't ever come back to
Okay.
me. I
And
just-
then when you're all done with that, you just delete it?
No, they keep it on their iPad. This is their iPad. And so it is they have a treasure of everything they've done. So they may have made a poplet that day, and that's about the good foods that they can eat. And they can go back and look at that, and they can go back and look at what they read that day. I might, because they still want to, if say Philip wanted to say, how are you doing accountability with what you're doing? Well, their iPads are their accountability. Let's watch. Do you want to hear them read what they read? Do you want to see their poplets? So this is,
So you didn't ever run out of storage? Having two kids use the same iPads and store everything?
not really. I mean, and we might go back, after they've read 3 weeks ago, I might delete 3 weeks ago, but I never really deleted much. But really and truly, I probably didn't learn to do that till after Christmas because I was just kind of learning how to do it all. So it was there, and I didn't individualize their iPads until after Christmas. So
And then you were
Right.
talking about you went and recorded yourself reading every book.
Yes.
Are you talking about the paper readers?
yes,
Yeah.
every book. So there's for kindergarten, it's perfect. In that first grade, like I said, their readers get a little long, but they still could do it. I did the green and the yellow book. I did not do the blue book until later, until it got a little
Okay,
harder.
but
And once it got a
hasn't
little
one of the teachers already, didn't you say that
Lenore.
Lenore Kirby has already done this as far as reading the books?
Yes, we've gotten all the books pretty much we didn't probably start this till after Christmas or around Christmas. And so every book from Christmas on we have, but we don't have the very beginning because we hadn't done it, so we're gonna have to do all those. But like I said, it takes 2 minutes to read those little books. It might not even take that long. The thing that takes the longest is making the QR sheet that you print out,
So so the read and record is basically the first small group that you have, the
Read and record,
workstation.
that's one workstation. Oh, and let me tell you, the one that you rip out, we still make a QR code of that, we send that home.
Yes.
But I also have a set, and on my tables, every table, and this is something Lenore always did, every table has a set of readers. It might be the week before, it might be 2 weeks before, it might be 3 weeks, but you're gonna have your leveled reader, but we encourage them, if you wanna try that blue book, get it. It's got a code in front of it, read it, and read it, just enjoy it, and that makes them want to work hard. So if you're in the green group and you might choose a yellow book to read, it's still keeping them, wanting to read.
And the
wanting to
one
go
that
back.
you record, do you
We
give
record
them
every one of them.
do you give them the whole page of all of them and they just scan what they want to scan?
It's
Or
in the
do
front
you-
of the book. So in the front of every cover of the book, we might put a QR code in it.
So they can.
And so even, I mean, there's 6 in each group, so each 6 books. We didn't do that to start with because we were learning. We had one book
They've had it.
and then every student on the table. But this year, and later in the year we started, they have their earphones, so they're doing it with their earphones on, so it's not bothering anybody around them. They're not having to stay with the person because one would have it read and the other was just now getting their book open, so it was
So
really
then they
hard.
could put their earphones on and hear you read and read
Yes.
along with you, or.
Until they felt comfortable enough to read it on their own. And then what took for me on accountability for that is I want you to read the book that you listen to. Show me the book that you listen to, and I want you to come really read it to me. So if I went to that table, if I was facilitating myself on that table, all I would do is walk up to that table and say, okay, show me the book you read. Show me how you did it, because I want to make sure that they are actually following along okay too, because that in kindergarten it takes a while to know where the voice and how to follow along. So I'm watching them follow along, make sure they can do it, and then I'm asking, okay, can you read it now? And then they try to read it. So when I go to that table, that's the way I teach at that table, and I'm one-on-one. Unless I want to go, okay, let's stop, let's all read this book. Do we all, can we all read it now? And I do it just like I would do a table that I pulled it to the back. And so then the AVL is another
Now,
table.
wait, do
Oh, go
you
ahead.
still use Family Times? Do you still send that home?
I send I rip it all out, fold it up, and send it home.
Good.
That's all I do. And so I ask them to do it at the beginning. I make them return it on Friday, and then at Christmas I say, these are my homework. You can do the Family Time, you can do iStation, you can do Rosetta Stone, you can do ABC Mouse. You find what works for your family, and I do not want to. You do not have to return it. No, you are a teacher for your child, and it's your responsibility to find what works for your child. But I'm not going to ask you to do it all. I'm not going to ask you to just do one. You just find out what works for your family. And so a lot of them still want to return it back because the students want to return that whole packet back, and I take it and
Such a smiley face.
Yep,
to
that's
get
it.
back.
so.
But with us being so small, and our kids know, like our students know y'all, like mine, Miss Cannon, if we split it up and each took a group and recorded it and shared it, like my kids would be excited as soon as they listen, go, oh, that's Miss Cannon's book. I mean, just because we're so small,
Oh,
we
they
can
do
do
that.
that. So,
We started out with just Miss Kirby, and they loved it. Oh, that's Miss Kirby. Oh, that's Miss Kirby. They were so excited to hear Miss Kirby. And she's got that soothing voice anyway, so it was just. And when they listen to a book that Miss Bennett reads, I mean, they're the same way. That's Miss
They
Bennett,
know
so, and they're
that.
excited about it. You could
Recognize
get a coach to read them. You could
Yeah.
get the principal to read it. They are excited about anybody. So, yeah. And it won't take as long as you think. I mean, it really, to do a whole, it takes about 15 minutes to do your whole series for that week, So,
we could even do some reverse guide for our kids that, they moved up and go,
no, there's no
oh,
kindergarten
there's my
teacher.
kid there, I mean, that would be fun to do some of that stuff.
Even the blue group that can read on their own still want to do it because it's just special to them. So, but that's an easy one, and you will be so surprised when you do pull a group. And I'm going to really decide what to do. I may even pull a group on Thursday instead of Monday or Tuesday. But when they come to you, they know the book. You're not teaching small details like you would have to do if you didn't do that first. Because it's supposed to be a code read when they come to you on some of those. But we have found it's worked amazing. I mean, they're reading, they're ready, and it makes them go, I can do this. I'm not embarrassed. I'm not trying to. Kindergarten's not really embarrassed anyway, but they're excited about it.
And you do QR codes for those?
Everything, every book, the yellow, green, and blue. We didn't do so many to start with the blue, and then we kind of started because they get hard at the end. And then we found out they just wanted to listen to it just like the rest of them, so we had to do it. But they're in all those, and plus they're in the one we send home, and then they're in the decodable. Even though the
those
decodable is supposed to be a code read, it's still there. It just makes it easier for them. They don't
To hear.
they won't have
Fluency,
the
if they can
anxiety
speak
of not knowing how to
fluency.
do it because it's always there. If they can't do it, it's there for them. So it works well.
Okay, great.
Okay, so that's one. And that table actually ends up at the end being the AR table that they're reading and taking tests. And I show them once how to do it. If they can do it, they show a person to how to do it. And my class was like a second grade class by the end of the school year because they're so independent, and they will get very independent, and they will get better
the
than
children
you.
out being assessed. One librarian talked about the iStation and had a teacher just really dig into iStation. She said if you really get into iStation, you would be amazed at what all it accomplishes.
Individualized. I absolutely I print the lessons, I do the lessons, I do everything with iStation. But I don't know why. I think because I was a PTI last year, and that's all we did. I think I just engulfed it.
And there's so much on there that's free. And you'll go QR code crazy. That'll keep y'all happy for a while.
It'll be fun.
It was
There's
just
so many things on
fun.
Teacher Pay Teachers that you can do that's a whole center on its own, because that was one of my tables. And it actually, it was the easiest one, because all you do is go to Teacher Pay Teacher, put in QR code, beginning sounds, QR code, blending,
Oh, yeah,
QR
that's-
code.
yeah.
It's just fun, easy. I started out doing a whole wall of it, where they would go and put in, there would be a apple, and you had to find the A to go with it, and it would correct it if it was correct or not. It would show then the letter that was supposed to match. I mean, it goes that simple, just the alphabet even.
But it would be nice if we could use our money instead of us having to pay everything. I mean, because Teacher Pay Teacher is
But
awesome,
I
but
never
it gets
printed
so
anything
much.
that wasn't free. Like this is free. This is one of ours we use right here. We do this one.
Okay.
I use it all the way to the end of the year. And I think it's beginning, middle, and end. I don't really know, but that's like bat and hat and, words like that.
Now, what's the name of that center?
I just call it, I think I just call it QR codes. It's not my QR reading codes, but it's QR codes that it may be beginning sound, ending sounds, but it's just a QR table. And because we had so many visitors, and I used my room a lot for people just to walk in, I would always have on their table, because the first thing they're going to ask in kindergarten, what are you doing at this table? And a lot of times they could tell you or they couldn't. It was on there so they could either point to it or say, I am working on QR codes, beginning sounds, or I'm working on, so I try to teach them how to tell the person that's coming in what they're working on too.
And so would that be your kind of Common Core?
Yes, yes. And
So,
it is.
so far we've got the read and record and like this QR table that's gonna have
And
reading
ABL.
An ABL.
and ABL.
Which is what?
ABL is Alabama Virtual Library.
Library.
And I'll just go quickly over it because it's something, Michelle taught my kids how to use it, and I went in and watched her teach it, and I was just floored, because my thing with technology is I want them to learn how to search. I don't want them just to use it as a game center or anything else. So I was so happy about it. So as soon as we got to the classroom, I was like, we're going to use it. I don't know how I'm going to use it, but we're going to use it every day. And so Michelle came up with the list that she gives them to search, and it's just animals. It could be animals. It could be what we do, transportation. One time there's just any topic that you're doing. She just prints the words so the kindergartners can do it. But my kindergartners would take it even further. So I don't think we put a chameleon on there, and we had the story about chameleons. They said, can we search chameleons? I was like, yes, that's what makes you the learner. Yes, you search whatever, and they did. They came up with so many different animals to search. And we started making them watch the video just because I thought that would be the best. But now, and this year I'm going to actually start out with the article, because they can make the article, read it to their, the article's read to them. And then what I do is have them draw a picture. So if they pick chameleon, they would have to draw a picture of a chameleon, then write a sentence they learned about. Now this was really hard for them to get, because when they did the chameleon, they would go, the chameleon is green. But I said, did you hear that in the video, or is that something you just see? So I want them to make sure that they're hearing it, or they're in the, and that's the one thing I like about them actually doing the article now, and letting the article read it to them, because if they can't, they can just copy a sentence from that article instead of something else. And let's see.
Now, did you start out with the Foursquare?
I didn't. We just let them research. I came up with, I want some kind of accountability for that, because they can't prove to me that they watched Cats or they watched, Pilgrims or whatever. So what I did is I made 4 squares, and then it was just pictures to start with, and they would draw a picture, and it was just wonderful. And then I had a little girl that actually drew a picture, and then she wrote a sentence. I was like, that's what I want you to do. So I actually just took a ruler and drew 3 lines under it. And so they do this, and for first grade, just make it longer. Make 2 sentences or 3 sentences, or start out with 1. But this.
So it's basically 4 facts.
And
the
they
article.
have. I put this at the top, just
The
that
website.
website, so when they got home, the parents could see it was something they researched and they took home. And this is
So
their.
that's 4 different ones they had looked at?
This is 4 different ones they looked at, and they got so clever with this that they would like, well, can we do 2 animals, and then can we go back and do 2 transportations? I'm like, yes. That would be wonderful.
So that was your nonfiction.
And if they didn't finish in the time I allowed them, I still try to do 20-minute centers, but sometimes this technology takes a lot longer. they may have only gotten one filled out. I said, that's fine. Then you go get this out of your cubby hole and do it next time when you go to this. You're just, it's not
Don't
something
take
you
it
have
home.
to
It's
finish.
not finished.
Yeah.
So they would do 2 animals on that, about 2 animals, or they would do 4 animals?
No, they have to do, to start with, I think we did animals first, so this is the one we gave them to start with. And they would have to research, and they would go down, and I didn't think to say, if you know more animals, go ahead and do it, but they would look up lizard, they would look up bird, they would
It
look
was
up
their own
alligator.
choice.
And they would type this in on their own, and they would do it wherever, what order they wanted it in. And then, like I said, they wanted more animals, so they would say, can I do this? And they would know how to spell it, because I'm one that, I don't want to tell you how to spell it, but this is what Miss Pierce always asks me to tell this story is, when we first started the technology, I am a teacher that likes things in order. I like everybody in their seat. I like it quiet. And I was a very old school teacher. I liked things in a lot of order, and I don't like a lot of running around. And I still did the technology, but you were quiet when you did it. And one of the little boys, there were 2 pairs, and they were doing, I don't really remember, it might have been this, and I think I put them under my loft, and I said, Dylan and Trendon are not where they're supposed to be. Where are you? You don't get it. I can't find you. Why are you not where you're supposed to be? Well, Miss Tuck, I didn't know how to spell alligator, so I went up to the loft because I had the grassland, and they went to find how to spell alligator. And I was like, okay, well that's wonderful. So, the kids are they're so smart, and they can find all these different ways to do things, and I think the technology makes them want to do it more. Because if I had them write it in their journal about an alligator, they don't care. They just write it. But when they were typing it in, they wanted to do it perfect. They wanted to do it. It wasn't. It was a poplet. That's what it was. It was a poplet. And they wanted to put the alligator in there, and they wanted to spell it correctly. And I said they wouldn't have done that if I had them writing just in their notebook. They wanted to spell it correctly on their poplet because I print those poplets out for them. And, it was so exciting. So that's when I had my aha moment, and I stepped back and I said, okay, we don't have to just sit down. We're going to get up, we're going to go around the classroom, we're going to learn things, and we're going to help each other, and we're just going to make this classroom look different. So it was hard, but now it's wonderful, and it made it so easy for me. And I still can't believe how easy my class
That
is
probably
now.
took care of discipline.
Oh,
too.
it does, because, and they
The
help each
people that
other.
have to get up and go around
They can get up and go find how to spell,
But as long as they're productive. If they're not productive, then
Yeah.
Did your kids use the Britannica?
Yes.
And you just had to teach them how to go and find that on?
Michelle
That
actually
website?
taught them the first time, and so what we did is you go in, I'm just going to go back to the beginning. You go to elementary, and did you know it's changed now?
Did it?
Yes, it's changed. They've just changed what it looks like, but it's still easy. It's easier to find now.
So did they have an app to click on for this?
What you do on your iPad, I'm going to show you how to download it, because this is something very important.
Your kids did it, well, first grade one, because we did it,
Yeah.
Haley and I did that day.
So what you do is you go to the website on your iPad, just like go to Safari and type in, I just always search it, so I put Alabama Virtual Library. I did it before I came because I said I have not done it since school. I know I'm not going to be able to do it.
You want to make sure and do Alabama Virtual Library, the www.avl, because when they go home and they use a different device, you don't want to have been practicing going straight to Britannica, that kind of thing, because they can't reproduce what they've done in school. So always start off with, go
Because
ahead.
they're going to go home with this that has the website on it, and they're going to go home with that with the website. So they actually can do this stuff at home and show their parents. But you're going to hit the Alabama Virtual Library on your iPad. This is my husband's iPad, but mine's not coming up.
And they will act like, when they leave the library with those sheets of paper, they will act like it's gold. Is that what Portia brought home?
Oh, she loved these. She
Yeah. Could you
loved
talk
her
a little bit
that.
about that?
Yeah, as a parent.
Just when they would come home and I'd get them out of their folder, like as soon as she saw me pull it out, she wanted to come and tell me about it and what she did. And it always had, and I don't know if it was from you or from her classroom, but hers was always highlighted on the words, or maybe she has to highlight, but
That's-
they were highlighted on what she had looked
When you
at.
first do it, what I learned with kindergarten, I'm not a kindergarten teacher, but anyhow, what I would do is I would start off with these sheets, and I noticed that they had a hard time focusing. So I would highlight wherever we started. If they wanted to do alligators first, I would highlight alligators. So I got the highlighting was to help them focus more on what they did. And then later, yeah, they highlighted their own. You know, so
But that lets them know the next time, because they may do this for 3 or 4 weeks, the animals they've already searched. So, you know, if they keep them highlighted, or mine star theirs, or whatever they do, they know that they've already, but they want to search them again. A lot of times they want to go back and do it often, and a couple of times. Okay, my iPad's not pulling it up, but what happens is, this was the website, just pretend it's the website. Oh, here it is. Okay, so what you want to do is right here, where this, it looks like a piece of paper and an arrow sticking up, it's the very top by your two,
Okay, so I'm on the wrong one.
well, I just have to show you that, download your iPad. So you got your back and forward, and then you got this little piece of paper. It's a little piece of paper that looks like that. You see it? Okay, you're gonna hit it, and it's like you're sending something. You say add to home screen. It's a little plus right there, so you just add it to the home screen. There it is, and I put add. So now it goes right there. So it's on their iPad, it's just like an app. It looks just like an app. All they have to do is mash it, and it comes up. And so you're just going to go to Britannica for school, right? And then elementary.
And one thing I remember you saying the day we were at Gulf Shores in the cafeteria is she tells them, click on Britannica Elementary School instead of the purple.
we
But
read
she
it.
said she
I'm a
makes
former
hers
reading
read
teacher.
them.
That's my training. When I first started teaching 2nd grade, I got taught DISTAR, direct instruction, and so I'm wanting them to read everything. You know, they're going to leave library learning how to do something, and so we read every single thing.
So this,
And it's my time to teach technology. I teach the words toolbar, I teach Alabama Virtual Library Icon, but anyhow, and they don't, they love learning. I want to hear them say Britannica Elementary, you know, and we want to use the sophisticated language. You will find that
They'll
Just
do it. They'll know it.
in a heartbeat.
They'll-
They love it.
Well, like Henley and Portia, I know they came home and they would say ABL, ABL. Well, at that time, I was like, what? You know, because I don't think you had it on there. At the
It took me a
beginning.
while to figure that out.
And so it would come home and I'm like, what is this list of work? You know, and I'd have to get her to tell me. She goes, it's on ABL. I want it, and like you said, to look it up again. She wanted to look it up again, but I didn't know it.
Well, we
ABL.
put,
And so when that came, then
Yeah.
she knew. And when we showed her, like when the boys would do homework, that's what she wanted to do. Was be on
Oh.
the computer doing that while they were doing like.
Well,
I was
that's why
helping
we
them.
ended up putting it so many places. On this
Right.
sheet that they take home, but like, I'm gonna just search cats right now. And it's taking forever, but once it comes up, oh, here it is. There are articles, images, and videos. Well, you can just teach them to look at images to start with. I mean, they can do, it can be anything, and that's what I did to start with. They could just draw the picture of what they were researching. But then I went to videos, but really and truly this year I'm going to go to articles because I like how it reads to them. And it's always, there's always an article. There's not always a video, you know. So you just mash play.
Article. Pumpkins are fruits that are commonly
sorry,
grown.
No, yours is working, mine's not. So, and it's doing that. It'll just
The
read it to
inside
them.
is cooked and eaten.
isn't that
always an
wonderful?
article that'll
Isn't
read
that
to them.
wonderful?
And you read it, and then what? See, mine says the domestic.
And think of the differentiated instruction. Doesn't matter how high a student is, if they come into kindergarten, 3rd grade reading level, you address
Never
that.
had a discipline problem at this table.
They love
They love it.
so
And
where's the voice?
Did they have
The little
earphones
megaphone.
on?
Yeah,
At the
not
top,
well.
it
Sometimes
The little
they-
play,
megaphone.
and the top orange bar.
Here?
They
Mhm. Over.
have earphones. So, but I only have 4 people at a table.
Center.
Okay.
The center. I had Andrew.
Or house cat.
And they're in the center.
And the other thing she realized was that this came up that day, and she said, I could never find anything when you're trying to research it. You can click on level 2 and level 3,
Yes,
and there was
find
more
it.
information.
And also there's tabs. There's everything's in 2 places.
Most videos are under 3, so my kids knew to go straight to 3.
Right.
So,
Something we looked at dolphins or something, and there was nothing there. So
And I make them read the words level 1, level 2, level
And
3.
there's more.
And it'll say, sorry, there was no, you know.
And cheetah.
I have a bag full of earphones.
The scientific name of the
Well, I
domestic
heard that
giant
they put that on
domesticus.
our, we didn't put it on ours, but somebody said they put it on the supply kit. That doesn't mean every child's gonna bring
And
one.
Dad, I said that they do that for everybody, first grade, it's not have them on there.
So maybe they don't
And they
have
will go
microphones.
through some headsets.
We could have
And
them
so
for
if
backup.
you've got somebody that wants to buy something, if you just say, buy us headsets, even if you've got some for everybody, hide them, you'll end up using them.
Yeah, and the Dollar Tree ones don't work. They'll work for about a week. That's it.
What we needed,
You know,
yeah,
so
those
I
are.
have them.
So that's gonna be your favorite. It's my favorite. I love it. I love it because they're actually doing
Researching.
it. They're doing the research. It might not be the best thing ever, but it is their own
And
research.
they can copy a sentence or they can
Yes.
make their sentence.
That's why I like the reading so much. And then, like I said, if they want to go back and watch the video, they can. They can spend as much time, and I feel like it is just an amazing time for them. They are actually learning how to do it all.
And one other thing, Ms. Bennett said that that's it, I think that you said this is a good place for them to get their pictures for their poplets, because it's a safe search site. So they can save the picture and then use
To their
that.
iPad.
Now,
We take
y'all,
pictures
that's
in
the
kindergarten.
skill.
Yeah.
Going from Poplet,
Yeah, we just
to
take pictures, that's all we do. And that's I to a whole lesson.
Alabama
I went to
Virtual
that.
Library,
I mean,
and
you
copying
said you need to
and
know
pay,
how to
that's a
take
skill,
pictures.
so you're gonna
How to
progress
hold and
up
not
to
let
that.
the light come in and out, so we
A
stand
lot of
the whole
teachers
time,
do
just
it
go around
different,
and
some
take pictures.
save it in their, camera roll, and some you can copy and paste. But that, but that's a skill that you're gonna have to teach them.
When you go to
Yeah,
teacher,
you know, it could, just like you do on a camera, make it
it goes right
big
to
and then
all
just
the
click it and
skills.
knock it
Cause
like
I made them like,
On,
when we get PBL, I would get the
into
library and get
student
a whole
resource
set of books, that go
Yeah.
by subject or whatever.
Go
and I'd
back
have
to
those
the
out.
page,
And when
just
they
the
would start doing their
introduction.
research, they would have to go to the hard copy book,
Yeah.
find a picture of what they
Ginger,
wanted
The
to
top adult
poplet,
resources.
take a
Did you
picture
notice-
in the book to use on a poplet. So they were doing lots of
There's a
different
teacher
types of
bar
research.
here on the page, and when you go to it, then it talks about all this Common Core things.
Show me, make sure we need that.
What is it? Well,
Alright, show me
They're
that.
better than me.
I'm on this page, and then I just saw this teacher thing, and so now it's talking
Is
about
that not unbelievable?
all
Yeah.
the standards that they just talked about, key idea, main topic,
Oh, that's
information
One of the
about
things you're
pictures.
gonna learn, when you
use
use technology,
illustrations.
you accomplish more
And it makes it so
standards
easy.
Something over here.
than you
Okay,
do
go back to
with
that
old
page.
pencil and paper. It's unreal.
She's under article, looks like.
Okay. Do you have this page?
There's also a way to
Oh,
save that and have it be
I
my
just went to,
Britannica, and I haven't learned how to do that. But I've had
and that's
somebody, a
all the
recent
skills that
graduate,
they have by reading
tell
that
me about
article.
that. I just haven't learned how to do it on Britannica. To where you can,
And I feel like as a kindergarten teacher, you want to leave something for them to be able to do when they go to first and second grade, because I felt like I taught them a lot of things that they're probably gonna be still learning in third grade, but
You can
I try to
actually
be
go
very
the
basic,
article and then
you know.
But they
so-
add upon
They,
it,
oh,
like,
they, oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's the
Introduction
Lexall score bill,
Yeah, I saw
which I
that.
don't understand.
Does
the
that,
correlation between
is that
Lexall
all
score.
your centers?
No.
Okay.
Well,
I
it's
know we need to hurry up.
Are these
Yeah.
centers you're doing all day long?
No,
or
only during reading.
just in your reading?
I really just do technology during reading. I do a small amount during math. We do ABC Mouse, and during math, I have a few apps that were on the old ones, so we don't even have that now, that I would do during math time, and then I do Rosetta Stone in the afternoon. So I really, truly just use my technology during,
So are
my
you
reading
starting
part.
out with do you do the online that Shelley Griffith gives us for the reading series on your smartboard?
no, I use my smart board for ABC Mouse, Starfall, and, I teach, of course,
Do
I
you
teach
do a
it.
shared reading, a big book?
But I'm doing the one from the series, and then we ordered a few to go with whatever we're doing this year. So yes, I still do. I'm gonna still do, and I did this last year. And like I said, just know that just because you don't do it the way that you've always done it, I had 100% of my kids dibble. I had 100% of my kids reading when they left. 100%. So my class looked a lot different. But I started out like this just because I am just a teacher that can't stay focused long enough to stay on the same thing. So I would pull down for small group, and I would do the book and whatever lesson I needed to teach. They would go do centers while I pulled a group, because we were still pulling groups at the time. Then I would stop, I would pull us back to the rug, and I would do another lesson. I might show them something, a poplet. And I just, y'all have the dongles that you hook up.
We just got them.
That's gonna be your best friend. I would just hook my dongle up to my iPad, and I would teach the lesson I wanted them to go back to their desk to do, or the back group. Everybody's at different groups still. But they would, we would do a small lesson of poplets. And then they would go back, and I'd pull a group, and they would go back to their center. So I pulled groups to the carpet a lot, that we did everything whole group, and then we did a lot of Common Core questioning and talking, and, you know, so my classroom looked a lot different. You definitely didn't walk in and just see a really quiet class with, I mean, people were up and down the whole time, and it just worked really, really well. I didn't have discipline problems, and I could have, because I mean, I had some really bad issues. It just was I think the class was too fast. I think it was just one of those things, and the students that would have been problems, the technology, they just absorbed it, and they could actually teach other kids. So they felt like they could do something and contribute to the class, you know. So, but the other one is the iMovie, and I didn't start it till a little bit later because it's a little harder. And that's the one I was so excited about because I learned it at a conference, Alabama Reading Conference I went to, and I said, I just went to everything they had technology, which they didn't have a lot of technology stuff. Most of it was still, you know, the old school kind of stuff. And so I sat in and I said, this cannot be for kindergarten. And it was. I mean, when I got back and I taught Wheels on the Bus to my kids, which they don't have a lot of words in it. It's, you know, the song, Wheels on the Bus. And it was so easy. I taught them how to take pictures. And they said, take a whole day of teaching your kids how to take pictures. Not just of the whole book, of just a face, or of just an arm, or just the windshield wiper, or just the, you know, a baby crying and just his face. So because you're going to have to fill those pictures up, you're going to have to teach them where to get those pictures, because if they just take a picture of every page of the book, it's not going to work, you know. And so that was a fun day that we just took the camera and practiced taking pictures. We did take a mouse to the movies at the night, take a mouse to the movie, and it was really hard to do because there was not a whole lot of pages, but we got like one popcorn, and the kids, you know, they don't write sentences, but they wrote the word popcorn, and they got it from the book, and they wrote the word popcorn. So their iMovies look like words and a picture. Popcorn, it shows a popcorn, movie, mouse, you know, instead of, you know.
And it's iMovie trailer.
iMovie trailer. Don't do the project. The project's a lot more difficult. The trailer is so simple.
What you made.
So
in
it's
your
not-
magazine?
It's iMovie
No, it's
trailer.
iMovie trailers.
We don't have it.
And it's not on the iPad yet, but that is one I said, I cannot believe we didn't have that. It is it's a MacBook thing. It's
We
free
don't have
anyway. So I don't really understand that.
We don't have it on our new Mac.
But that's the thing they were telling you that, I have it under
Cause
Launchpad.
I did
Yeah.
have it,
Go to Launchpad.
Under
but I just
Launchpad.
got this one, so I don't know. It
Is
was
it
on
an
my old
app
one.
only, or can you Google
But she's
it on
talking
your
about
iPad?
using iMovie trailer
Yeah.
with
Oh, it's
iPad.
so
an
fun.
iPad.
Yeah. When you do it on the iPad, it's very simple. You're going to put in the production of your name, like Miss Tuck's class, or I put Tuck's. Yeah, because I know that.
And then
I've
you
only
do
used this one to do the
create, and then it asks
trailer.
you.
Trailer.
Okay,
And
so
that's
what
how
did
it
you
is
do?
on the iPad
Go
too.
get started, and then you go up to create, the little plus sign up at the top, and then you either do maybe your trailer, and you want a trailer, maybe it's real.
Instead of going that way, go back out.
And then you
Yeah,
choose
close
which
everything down.
one, like you're gonna have to look at them, like just go through it. You can't change like the type. You're gonna go in there and change the word, like the music is set
Yeah, those
and
are
the
the
background is set. You're putting in
You
pictures
did
and
this one,
words.
didn't you?
I did that one for Disney, and then for the Kids Day,
Launchpad.
I think I did Friendship for Kids Day. I did Retro for one of them. What did I do for Retro?
And
No,
it's
I
an
did
app. It
Teen.
should be
I
on
did the
our,
one that lined up for Kids
MacBooks
for
when
the
we go, or
invite
on
the
our-
little Kids Day movie. I did Teen.